So, okay, the recording is on. So let's follow the chronology of the regional European policy. So let's start with the report of Ksenia that is about the Rome Treaty. Yeah. Okay, please.
Wait a minute. Okay. So I would show you my presentation about the Treaty of Rome. And first of all, I want to pay attention on these photos where and when this document was signed. So a little bit history. This was signed on 25th of March in 1957 by 6 countries: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and West Germany. This proposed the progressive reduction of customs duties and the establishment of a customs union. It proposed to create a single market for goods, labor, services, and capital across the European Economic Community member state. It also proposed the creation of a common agricultural policy, a common transport policy, and a European social fund, and established the European Commission. So some kind of results. So the treaty establishing the European Economic Community affirmed in its preamble that signatory states were determined to lay the foundation of an ever closer union among the peoples of Europe. In this way, the member states specifically affirmed the political objectives of a progressive political integration. In fact, the brand new institution was customs unions. As a consequence, the European Economic Commission was colonially known as a common market, and the member countries agreed to dismantle all tariff barriers over a 12 years transitional period. And as a matter of fact, the common market means exclusively free circulation of goods, free movement of persons, capitals, and services continue to be subject of numerous limitations. And on this photo, it's one of the events of preparation of the anniversary, and some coins also by the 16th anniversary. This is how the treaty looks like, and the other essential agreements included in the Treaty of Rome was the adoption of a common agricultural policy. Essentially, the common agricultural policy enacted free markets of agricultural products inside the European Economic Commission, and established protectionist policies that guaranteed sufficient renewals to European farmers, avoiding competition from third countries' products by guaranteeing agricultural prices. The Treaty of Rome also established the prohibition of monopolies, some transport common policies, and the grant of some commercial privileges to the colonial territories of the member states. And these documents sign the triumph of a very realistic and gradualist approach to building the European Union. This method was personified by Jean Monnet. You can see him on the slide. The failure of this demonstrated that tremendous obstacles lay in the path of the final construction of a political union. So to sum up, these approaches put in motion in which progressive economic integration was paving the way to the long-term objective, the political union. So that's all.
Okay, perfect, Ksenia. Thank you very much. Let's go next with the Maastricht Treaty by Anastasia.
Can you see the presentation?
Not yet, but I think it's still loading. Let's wait a couple of seconds.
No, I think my computer doesn't allow.
Oh.
I don't know why.
So I can share your presentation by myself, and you just need to tell me where to switch the slides, okay? Okay, give me a couple of seconds, and I will share it. Okay, is everything okay?
Yes.
So we can start.
My topic was Maastricht Treaty. The next slide. What is the Maastricht Treaty? The Maastricht Treaty, known formally as the Treaty on European Union, is an international agreement responsible for the creation of the European Union, signed in 1991, and which became effective in 1993. The European Union is a group of 28 countries that operate as a cohesive economic and political bloc. 19 of the countries use the euro as their official currency. One of the Maastricht Treaty's priorities was economic policy and convergence of UA member state economies. So the treaty established a timeline for the creation and implementation of the European wait a moment, money. It's like euro. Their currency was to include a common economic and monetary union, a central banking system, and a common currency. Next slide. Introduction. The Maastricht Treaty served two purposes. It amended the provision of the Treaty of Rome while significantly advancing the agenda set out under the Single European Act in 1986 for deepening European political union. It created a new model for the community based around three pillars, which, broadly speaking, cover economic relations, foreign affairs, and home affairs. It also officially created the European Union, which became the title to cover all the functions of the much expanded European governmental structure. In addition, it began the process of economic and monetary union, which would lead to the creation of the euro. Coming at the time of political upheaval in Britain and across Europe, the treaty was hardly controversial and has come to be seen as a central moment in the movement towards deeper European integration. Next slide. History. Negotiations for the new treaty began through two separate intergovernmental conferences, one dealing with monetary union, the other with political union. In April 1991, a draft set of treaties was presented at the Luxembourg European Council, after which extensive negotiations took place between nation governments, leading to the signing of the treaty in the Dutch town of Maastricht on 7 February 1992. However, this was far from the end of the story. In June 1992, the Danish people rejected the treaty in referendum. Subsequently, the British government narrowly won a vote of the treaty in the House of Commons, which forced Prime Minister Jean Monnet to postpone final ratification of the treaty unit after a second Danish referendum in 1993. Although the British government then ratified the treaty, the controversy that surrounded it provided a huge boost to those skeptical about the European project. Next slide. What did the Maastricht Treaty do? The treaty pushed forward two broad processes: the winding of European Union responsibilities and the deepening of integration. This means using supranational structure in some areas while using intergovernment ones in others. In order to make EMU possible, it amended the original Treaty of Rome, reinforcing the economic responsibilities of the European community in line with the goals of the CE. At the same time, however, it set up a whole new range of intergovernmental responsibilities outside the remit of the Treaty of Rome in areas of the common foreign policy and home affairs. Institutionally, it transformed the way in which the organization was structured. While the Commission retained responsibility for the economic pillar of EU activity, the new pillars were to be controlled not by the Commission, but by the European Council. However, the three separate pillars would all be linked under the overarching structure of the European Union. The treaty also attempted to strengthen the EU Parliament's power by introduction the co-decision procedure, and lastly, a social chapter covering employment and social issue was not included in the treaty itself, but was annexed to the treaty as a protocol, although the UK decided to opt out of its provision. Next slide. And there is arguments for Maastricht Treaty and against. Arguments is the Maastricht Treaty created a structure capable of coping with a close integration and monetary union while giving national governments more say through an expanded European Council. The process of closer integration through monetary union made it vital to have closer political cooperation. And the British government succeeded in including the principle of subsidiarity in the treaty, which helped counterbalance the federalist tendencies of other parts of the documents. This has since gained great importance. And against, The deepening measures of the treaty pushed forward a federalist model of European integration that set community in the direction of a united Europe. The focus on big issues like European monetary units distracted people from the expansion of EU control over other areas such as environment, security, and foreign affairs. And finally, next slide. A major goal was greater policy cooperation and coordination more generally. The environment policy and social policy were just some of a number of areas in which the countries aimed to increase cooperation and coordination. And that's all.
Okay, Anastasia, thank you very much. Very good presentation and very clear knowledge of a Maastricht Treaty and main advantages and disadvantages of the treaty. Okay, let's go next with Elnara.
Elnara. Okay. Все видят презентацию?
Грузится.
Грузится. У меня плохая связь просто. Sorry.
So now we can see it.
Yeah. You see? Okay. Lisbon strategy. Agenda of Lisbon protects was an action and development plan devised in for the economy of the European Union between 2000 and 2010. A prior role is formulation was played by the progression economist. Portugalist economist Maria Rodrigues. Its aim was to make the European Union the most competitive and dynamic knowledge-based economy in the world, capable of sustainable economic growth with more and better jobs and great social cohesion by 2010. It was set out by the European Council in Lisbon in March 2000. By 2010, most of its goals were not reached. It has been socialized by the Europe 2020 strategy. Background and objects. The Lisbon strategy invited to deal with the low productivity and stretchment of economic growth in the European Union through the formulation of various policy in section to be taken member states. The project objects set out by Lisbon strategy were to be enacted by 2010. Next slide. Strategy. The main fleets were economic, social, and environmental renewal and sustainability. The Lisbon strategy was heavily based on the economic concepts of innovation. Second, it's learning economy and social environment renewal. Key things and concept. Key its work in the Lisbon strategy was based and who were known include Maria Rodrigues and a lot of people who you see in a slide. Key concepts of the Lisbon strategy include those of the knowledge economy, innovation, techno-economic paradigm, technology governance, and the open method of coordination. Medium-term review in April and November 24. Wim Kok had been a review of the program and protection and report of the Lisbon strategy, concerning whatever of some progress was more of all were achievement. In the resolution of the method in March 20, the European Parliament expressed that it
Эль, ты пропадаешь.
Сори, у меня плохой интернет, я вообще не в Москве, я, у бабушки, мне интернет через телефон, пожалуйста. And the social and environment progress and what well designed social and environment political themselves key elements in strengthening European economic preference. The declaration were classed as unrealistic by some, and the failure of the relief intensive was preference of the existing approach was not changed. And closing review in 28 Swedish Premier Minister Fredrik Reinfeldt administered even of progress has been made. It must be said that the Lisbon agenda with only a year reminder before it was being fluid. Official approval of Lisbon strategy took place in March 2010 at the European Summit, with a new European 2020 strategy was also launched. That's all. Are you hearing me?
Yes, everything.
Yes.
Everything's good. Thank you very much, Elinara. Okay. So after the detailed sharing or just switch on?
What?
Okay, everything's good now. So, after detailed considering of three from four main treaties of European regional policy, let's go next to the Europe 2020 strategy. So, let me share my presentation. I hope now you can see and hear me and see the presentation about Europe 2020 strategy.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, Europe 2020 is a 10-year strategy proposed by the European Commission on the March 3rd of 2010 for advancement of the economy of the European Union. It aims at smart, sustainable, inclusive growth, with greater coordination of national and European policy, and it followed the Lisbon strategy that we just talked. So, Europe 2020 put forward three mutually reinforcing priorities: smart growth So the development and economy based on knowledge and innovation. The sustainable growth, promoting a more resource efficient, greener and more competitive economy. Sorry, I forgot to delete the point. And inclusive growth, fostering and high employment economy, delivering social and territorial cohesion. And we have the headline targets of the European Union of Europe 2020 strategy. So the 75 of the population aged from 20 to 64 should be employed. 3% of European Union GDP should be invested in research and development. The 2020 climate energy targets should be met, including an increase to 30% of emissions reduction in the conditions are right. The share of early school leavers should be under 10% and at least 40% of the younger. Of the younger generation should have a tertiary degree. And the 20 million less people should be at risk of poverty. The EU Commission is putting forward 7 flagship initiatives to catalyze progress under each priority theme. So unofficially, they have seven flagship initiatives. Two for the second and the third goals. So, for example, 2 for inclusive growth, 2 for sustainable growth, and 3 for smart growth. So, and finally, they have 7 flagship initiatives. Let's consider it more detailed. So the first, the Innovation Union to improve framework conditions and access to finance for research and innovation, so as to ensure that innovative ideas can be turned into products and services that create growth and jobs. So the next is Youth on the Move, to enhance the performance of education systems and to facilitate the entry of young people to the labor market. A digital agenda for Europe to speed up the rollout of high-speed internet and reap the benefits of a digital single market for households and firms. The next is a resource-efficient Europe to help decouple economic growth from the use of resources, support the shift towards a low-carbon economy, increase the use of renewable energy sources, modernize our transport, their transport sector, and promote energy efficiency. The fifth is an industrial policy for the globalization era to improve the business environment, notably for SMEs, for small and medium enterprises, and to support the development of a strong and sustainable industrial base able to compete globally. An agenda for new skills and jobs to modernize labor markets and empower people by development their skills throughout the life cycle with a view to increase labor participation and better match labor supply and demand, including through labor mobility. And the last one is a European platform against poverty to ensure social and territorial cohesion, such the benefits of growth and jobs are widely shared and people experiencing poverty and social exclusion are enabled to live in dignity and take an active part in society. So the first was flagship initiative Innovation Union. The aim of this is to refocus research and development and innovation policy on the challenges facing our society, such as climate change, energy and resource efficiency, health and demographic change. Every link should be strengthened in the innovation chain, from the blue sky research to commercialization. So in every initiative, the European Union have the roadmap. So what they should do each year, and they have annual reports on every initiative. We won't stop on the some contract reports, but for the common understanding, it's very important that the programs they all have their roadmap and control maps to follow. So the second initiative, Youth on the Move. The aim is to enhance the performance and international attractiveness of European higher education institutions and raise the overall quality of all levels of education and training in the European Union, combining both excellence and equality by promoting student mobility and trainees mobility and improve the employment situation of young people. So as you see, you're actually the part of this initiative. A digital agenda for Europe. The aim is to deliver sustainable economic and social benefits from a digital single market based on fast and ultra-fast internet and interoperable applications with broadband access for all by 2013. Access for all to much higher internet speeds, 30 megabits or above by 2020, and 50% or more European households subscribing to internet connections above 100 megabits. So the next initiative, Resource Efficient Europe. The aim is to support the shift towards a resource efficient and low carbon economy that is efficient in the way it uses all resources. The aim is to decouple their economic growth from resource and energy use, reduce CO2 emissions, enhance competitiveness, and promote greater energy security. The initiative and industrial policy for the globalization era. So industry and especially SMEs, smart and medium enterprises, have been hit hard by economic crisis, and all sectors are facing the challenges of globalization and adjusting their production processes and products to a low carbon economy. The impact of these challenges will differ from sector to sector. Some sectors might have to reinvent themselves, but for others, the challenges will present new business opportunities. The Commission will work closely with stakeholders in different sectors: business, trade unions, academics, and non-governmental organizations, consumer organizations, and will draw up a framework for the modern industrial policy to support entrepreneurship, to guide and help industry to become fit to meet these challenges, to promote the competitiveness of Europe's primary manufacturing and service industries and help them seize the opportunities of globalization and of the green economy. The framework will address all elements of the increasingly international value chain, from access to raw materials to after-sales service. Last initiative is an agenda for new skills and jobs. The aim is to create conditions for modernizing labor markets with a view to raising employment levels and ensuring the sustainability of their social models. This means empowering people through the acquisition of new skills to enable their current and future workforce to adapt to new conditions and potential career shifts, reduce unemployment, and raise labor productivity. And the last initiative is the European Platform Against Poverty. The aim is to ensure economic, social, and territorial cohesion, beginning of the current European year for combating poverty and social exclusion, so as to raise awareness and recognize the fundamental rights of people experiencing poverty and social exclusion, enabling them to live in dignity and take an active part in society again. So all European Union policies, instruments and legal acts as well as financial instruments should be mobilized to pursue the strategy's objectives. The Commission intends to enhance key policies and instruments such as the single market, the budget, and the European Union external economic agenda to focus on delivering Europe 2020's objectives. Operational proposals to ensure their full contribution to the strategy are an integral part of the Europe 2020. The fields of activity of Europe 2020 and the objectives: a single market for the 21st century, investing in growth, cohesion policy, mobilizing the European Union budget and private finance, and deploying their external policy instruments. So we will stop on the second point, the cohesion policy. So, economic, social, and territorial cohesion will remain at the heart of the Europe 2020 strategy to ensure that all energies and capacities are mobilized and focused on the pursuit of the strategy priorities. Cohesion policy and its structural funds, while important in their own right, are key delivery mechanism to achieve the priorities of smart, sustainable, and inclusive growth in member states and regions. The financial crisis has had a major impact on the capacity of European businesses and governments to finance investment and innovation projects. To accomplish its objectives for Europe 2020, a regulatory environment that renders financial markets both effective and secure is key. Europe must also do all it can to leverage its financial means, pursue new avenues in using a combination of private and public finance, and in creating innovative instruments to finance the needed investments, including public-private partnerships. The European Investment Bank and the European Investment Fund can contribute to backing a virtuous circle where innovation and entrepreneurship can be funded profitably from early stage investment to listing on stock markets in partnership with many public initiatives and schemes already operating at national level. So the European Union multi-annual financial framework will also need to reflect the long-term growth priorities. The Commission intends to take the priorities once agreed up in its proposals for the next multi-annual financial framework due for next year. The discussion should not only be about levels of funding, but also about how different funding instruments, such as structural funds, agricultural and rural development funds, the research framework program, and the competitiveness and innovation framework program need to be devised to achieve the Europe 2020 goals, so as to maximize impact, ensure efficiency, and the European value added. It will be important to find ways of increasing the impact of the European Union budget. While small, it can have an important catalytic effect when carefully targeted. So the Commission will propose action to develop innovative financial solutions to support Europe 2020 objectives by fully exploiting possibilities to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the existing European Union budget through stronger prioritization and better alignment on European Union expenditure with the goals of Europe 2020 to address the present fragmentation of European Union funding instruments. So research and development and innovation, key infrastructure investments in cross-border energy and transport networks and low-carbon technology. The opportunity of the review on financial regulations should also be fully exploited to develop the potential of innovative financial instruments, whilst ensuring sound financial management. Designing new financial instruments, in particular in cooperation with the EIB, EIF, and the private sector, responding to either to unfulfilled needs by businesses. As part of the forthcoming research and innovation plan, the Commission will coordinate an initiative with the EIB and EIF to raise additional capital for funding innovative and growing businesses. This one is European Invest Budget and European Invest Fund. Making the efficient European venture capital market in reality, thereby greatly facilitating direct business access to capital markets and exploit incentives for private sector funds that make financing available for startup companies and for innovative SMEs. So, so the main principles of the European semester. So how it will be, how it should be, and how it is the reports on the Europe 2020 strategy. So monitoring progress and ensuring the active involvement of the European Union countries are key elements of the strategy. This is done through the European semester, an annual cycle of macroeconomic, budgetary and structural policy coordination. The key stages in the European semester are as follows. In January, the Commission issues the annual growth survey, which sets out European Union priorities for the coming year to boost growth and job creation. In February, the Council of the European Union and the European Parliament discussed the annual growth survey. In March, European Union heads of state and government issue European Union guidance for national policies on the basis of annual growth survey. In April, member states submit their plans for sound public finances, stability or convergence programs, and reform the measures to make progress towards smart, sustainable, and inclusive growth. So this is on the national reform programs. In May, the Commission assesses these programs. In June, the Commission provides country-specific recommendations as appropriate, and the European Council discusses and endorses their recommendations. In July, the Council of the European Union formally adopts the country-specific recommendations, and in autumn, the governments present the budget draft to the Parliament. And so, according to this European semester, usually there are reports. And so this is just the example of a report. For example, I will try to do the scale. For example, target is 75 of employment. So for the year 2018, the percent of employment was 73.2%. Of population was employment in a group from 20 to 64. So as you see, in some case, some key indicators, the European Union make a good success. So I will send you these slides just to make it more clear. The last slide, because this one is indicators, because the big reports from this year is now in the stage of preparing, and I tried to find the report on the last year. So there I have only the key indicators from the beginning of the discussion of the program and to the year 2018. So briefly, that's all that I want to tell you about the Europe 2020 strategy. Maybe if we will discuss with Mario how to continue the model with you. Maybe we will be sending you some further presentations just for you to see and to find out for you something interesting issues. I don't know how it will be, but okay. Finally, we stopped in four main documents according the European regional policy. So your test that you will write next time will be devoted to I think 10 questions from Mario, from Professor De Martino, that will be about the project management, and 10 questions about the history of European Union regional policy. So nothing special, nothing unbelievable for you in the test. Okay. So if you have some questions, you can ask me. If you don't have any questions, we can stop for today.
I have no questions.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I will send you this presentation just for you to have the full information that we have considered through these two little lessons. Okay, thank you. We can be in touch everywhere on WhatsApp or on mail, so you can ask me any questions later if you will have it. Okay, I will stop the recording.